It's lovely to see some of the evening editions with us. Welcome. And everyone else is holding steady. This has been a very, very strong sesshin. Very steady practice. On this, it's the fifth day, but it's the fourth full day of sesshin. What can be offered that hasn't already been offered? That hasn't been offered through the teaching, but also, more importantly, through your own steady practice of being here and staying here. There is so much in any one moment of experience. What brought you here? I assume that we were all drawn to come to sesshin with something in mind that it will do for us. But what we're looking for is not the same as what we're looking for when we go to the market. In the marketplace, as ordinary beings, we're dazzled and drawn this way and that by all the goodies, all the different kinds of things that are offered there, things that are going on, and sweep us along in them and make us desire something we hadn't really thought we had needed or wanted. But at sesshin, it's quite different. We have only the schedule and the one thing. And willingness is the key. Looking around for the way of our true self. We're always arriving at this moment on the ground of our own true path. We're not looking to gain. We're not looking to lose. We're looking to penetrate into authenticity, to be able to penetrate to the one source that is serene and illuminating, that we have heard. This is hearsay, right? Serene and illuminating, except if we've had an experience for ourselves of it along this pathway that we call the Great Way, this Tao, which is illuminated in each of our lives in a particular and unique way. Each of us are led along this path by our own karmic conditions that vary and are ever changing and minutely subtle. Though we all have noses, eyes, mouths, hair, etc., or mostly, each of us looks quite different. As Aitken Roshi used to say, but we all belong to the same nosehole society. But each one of us has our own face. We each look different, but all of our energies are pointing to the real thing. We each embody that which cannot be reduced to thought. This real thing, this real life that is always unfolding and always connected to all of life in this moment. We look to this moment. We are willing, in coming to sesshin, to settle into this moment, which can present a lot of challenges. Dharma realizations and how we manifest these take many forms. These openings come whenever they come, and not just once, but over and over. We have many openings over the course of a lifetime of practice that emanate from beneath the storms on the surface of ordinary reality. For each of us, these experiences are specific to our own karma. The meaning and its effects does not depend on the experience itself, but each experience in its particulars, each moment of new light shining into what was dark till then, releases the grip of some delusion, some limited and fixed view that we might not have even realized we had. For me, a moment that deeply released me was when the thought, which was not a thought in words so much, but the content of it was tell the truth. After many, many, many years of experience, I had this revelation, tell the truth. This popped into my awareness, popped into my whole body. And it was powerful. It was like that five-pronged Vajra, a bolt of primordial lightning. This Vajra, which is mentioned in the Precious Mirror Samadhi verse, it's one of the images. It's an image that captures the huge release of vital energy that came for me during this realization, that generalized in all kinds of ways in my life and in my Dharma understanding. The liberating power of Precious Mirror Samadhi does not lie in anyone else's abstraction about it, and does not lie in words, but it comes when we see directly into the home of our own true experience. To tell the truth, you must be clear about what the essence is in your own experience. Your Vajra moment can be anything. It can be the quietest moment you've ever experienced. It can be something perfectly ordinary, like tell the truth. Into a sea of quiet mind, this truth rang through all the murk, hundreds and thousands and millions of ages of my concepts about Dharma truth. For me, it was like this. For you, the moment of truth might flash forward while raising your arm towards your mouth with a spoonful of lunch, or the sound the clippers made when they snipped the vine on the fence. All of us here are practitioners that have various experiences with the Dharma teachings in our daily life. We're all pretty committed practitioners. We have some understanding of it and some impressions about it. But then we come to Sesshin. It's like signing up to be in a shipwreck. In Sesshin, we're not able to hold on to anything. Our words are useless when the bell rings to begin. And we have to find our way along without them. Words get in the way. These insubstantial, immaterial forms that can so dominate in our awareness. So they have consequences. Words enforce a view and keep it fixed in a way that makes what they signify appear real. But just like the dream fabric of the night, a word can also shift our day-waking world. Immaterial, powerful. In this dream of our life in Sesshin, our ship wrecks onto Samantabhadra's land. Samantabhadra, the Bodhisattva of great awakening. All that brings forth awakening. So much of the difficulties of our life are Samantabhadra's land. So much of the inspiration is Bodhisattva's gift. In the midst of the great ocean of present moment awareness, our view can shift. We intimately realize what's real for ourselves in this samadhi that we practice. This samadhi of staying here, stay here. Stay right where we are. Stay right where you are. We may realize that we're still alive. We may discover how alive we are, what is real and right before our very eyes. As we come face to face with just this practice insists that we stop. And when we undertake to stop, we realize how much we keep moving forward. Everything starts it up again, starts up the motor forward again. It's like when you're driving a car, there's so much that you don't see as you're going by, because you have to keep your all your attention on the forward motion. But in this shipwreck, we've washed up onto some new shore. So alive, even if we don't know where we are or what's next. We have our minds and hearts and bodies and our shipwrecked Sangha here with us, right here in Sesshin. The Dharma of this life, incomparably profound and minutely subtle, is rarely encountered, is really encountered right here in Sesshin. We are in the midst. 4 days in, we're in the midst. All the reactions, the fear, confusion, overwhelm of the very demanding situation that Sesshin has been drifting back out along the mirror-like shore. As we really get our focus and our ground and our energies right here. In the 4th day of Sesshin, everything we brought with us is fading. Maybe now you can see it in the new light of the steady awareness. At Sesshin, we meet the conditions of our mind. We write our inner dialogues. Our moods with right effort. We learn to use right effort, the middle way, just the right angle, the right amount of attention, neither too lax nor too effortful. Some of you have mentioned being very sleepy. That's the energy of laxity, which is not to be judged, but just to notice how that can happen, and then of its own, it rights itself. You can be very, very sleepy, and then in the midst of a period of zazen, it disperses, and here you are. And once we are here, once we're right here, we can look around to what is here that's really useful. This is a change from the 1st day of Sesshin. The 1st day, we try to think about what to do with this experience of Sesshin, how to cope. And we tend to strategize because we've been dragging in all that we know, everything that we've used to manage our situation up till now. But those strategies are not relevant here. Even if we've done many seshins, each sesshin is an original. But our avoidance strategies still don't work, maybe even after many years, because nothing in this moment moves aside. Everything takes its own place. And Zazen Samadhi is not like a thermometer where the temperature slowly rises. I think Sato used an image last night of the ladder for the developmental direction. That it's not like that, but we can think, oh, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and now I've got it. I've got samadhi. If I do this, then I'll get that. But it just doesn't work like that. We apply the method. We stay here, expecting nothing, demanding nothing. And whatever is ready to happen, whatever opening is conditioned for, happens on its own, in its own time. So we just have to be willing to engage the practice. And with long hours of sitting, we discovered that Zazen never becomes anything special, no matter how long we practice. Zazen is always unexpected. We never know what we're gonna experience. Sawaki Roshi, who was the great Soto Zen master and a real iconoclast, warned us about this. He said, if it becomes something special, you must have a screw loose. Sesshin is unique in that we really settle deeply into ordinary mind and take a really close look. What we discover is not the usual. And Sesshin is not the usual conditions, and it is designed to leave us no choice but to take a look, to take a close look at what's at hand. It definitely turns up the heat under Zazen. Only minute attention relieves our suffering. The Heart Sutra affirms this. It says, this is true, not false. Staying put in minute attention. So what to do if we find ourselves beyond what we know how to cope with? This is day 4 of Sesshin. So some of you might have decided already at this point to shut down a bit and just wait it out. You've closed down around the idea. But we are always urged, and I'm urging, when this happens, to reconsider this decision. When we want to give up is the very time to hold steady and apply the method of staying here. Day 4 is rich in Dharma power, in Jiriki, the energy of awakening. Do not waste it. We can't always get what we want the way that we want it, but we get what we need as we continue to pay attention. Through thick and thin. Sometimes our attention is thick, and sometimes it's thin. This is true as we're emerging into who we truly are, a process that has its own course. All you need to do is be willing. You may be comforted by thinking when practice gets particularly difficult or dull. But that's exactly when Samantabhadra is showing up. Energy is moving, tensing into it and trying to get away is where the suffering lies. Relaxing into the difficulty is the way to go at those times. We want to escape. It doesn't work that way. That's why doing Sesshin requires a lot of courage. And this is where the simple practice of being completely right here becomes our lifeline. The line that's offered to us by Samantabhadra, the bodhisattva of great activity, coming back to just right here, submerging in the tide of this present moment into the course that we flow along in, that's carrying us along. It's only right here. It's only right here that we find our next step and that we take our next step and discern the right action. If we can hold steady, it unfolds of itself in its own time. This is where we discern what's needed, what is to be done. What's here is what's real. Right here and now is what we've got. This very step right now is the one step. The sutra has been saying this step. We're always in the midst. Any response needs to fit the particulars of this step, this now. Any action, any activity. So in Zazen, that means allowing the breath, the sounds, the pains, the moods to flow along in their own way. Don't push them away, don't hold on to them. But when we're not in Zazen, maybe we're chopping a carrot for lunch, then what we do requires a different way. When we're talking with our aged parent, we likewise serve the needs of that moment differently. We're always standing in relation to the conditions at hand. This is the basic teachings in Buddhism. Peace of mind means not running after anything, but joining with conditions, aligning with current conditions. Ministers serve their lords. Children obey their parents. You can tell this is an old chant because it's not necessarily the case at this point. We take actions that are suitable to the role we're in. So however great our suffering may be, the answer isn't to thrash around with your hands and feet and waste your energy by running all the old stories about who you are or what you can do and cannot do, what you want to do and don't want to do. Instead, to hold steady and calm the self. Calming with the breath. Calming, first, you have to be willing to calm yourself. Calming is bringing up the practice of patience. And breathing, staying here, so that once calm, we can take a fresh look at what is. Whatever it is, manifesting are the true conditions. The Buddha said, at the moment of his enlightenment, I, together with all beings, awaken. Now, this is a profound affirmation of the unity of all experience, all of it. But just because all things are one doesn't mean that they're all the same. We all are of Buddha nature, but we are not all the same. So what brought you here? What is your true path? I assume that you didn't come to become a clone of me or Sado or Gautama Buddha. I assume that each of you wants your lives to point directly to the real thing, authentic to you, true to who you really are, to be able to take good care of the essential activity of being Buddha. how Buddha lives your particular life, your unique path. And only you can find this. Only you can see it, hear it, receive, and maintain it. The Fukan Zazengi says in this way, it says it in this way, putting aside the intellectual practice of investigating words and chasing after phrases and images, and taking the backward step that turns the light and shines it inward. That's what we've been doing all week in this samadhi practice. So I'm pointing out here how the true vehicle is self-sufficient. We all have the capacity. This samadhi, which takes patience to cultivate, frees us from the mistaken impression of duality that we are all subject to, and is so well maintained by language, by our language about experience. In language, there is a subject and an object. In reality, this is not separate. They are not separate. The Dharma, the true condition of your life and mine, is whole, available to all of us right here as it is, self-revealing, open, permeable, flowing, and clear when we are taking a direct look, not getting in the way of it. You don't need to have someone else tell you about your own experience. Just claim it as it is, honoring your own direct and thoroughgoing presence, which is non-dual. Claim your agency. This is a modern word for all of this, your agency. You can have confidence in your path and know it directly as complete from the very beginning. Your life has always been complete in all its blessings, its traumas, its limitations, and its opportunities. Its tedium, its murkiness, its brightness, and diamond-like transparency. This practice that we're all engaged in is fully realized in secret, meaning in our inmost intimate heart-mind. And in this way, it is hidden. We don't want it to be hidden from ourselves either. We don't want to any longer hide it. Our inmost intimate experience does not have to be expressed in some grand display, but it is based in continuously being tuned in and letting it function, acting according to what is truly right now and here. And this is what is called realizing the host within the host. So one of the images that's in maybe a Rinzai story, a traveler stops at an inn and may stay overnight or get something to eat or drink. And when they're finished or they're rested, they pack up and continue on their journey, for they don't have time to stay longer. But the host, he or she or they, has no other place to be. When somebody calls, she immediately answers. This isn't just about someone else over there. It's about you, right as you are. It's about me, just being who we are, telling the truth, allowing all parts of of our lives to be the path where we fully participate. We are the host of the conditions of our life. We host the conditions, flowing along affably with current conditions, streaming along without taking offense or getting lost in fear of where we're going to be going. Claiming our agency, becoming aware of this, what this refers to directly in samadhi. The host serves all those on the path. The host serves with all her life energy all those who travel along the road. The host may say, "Stay here," but the guest has places to go and people to see. Without a guest, there is no host. They rise together. The self and how we function in the world are not two. So in this samadhi practice, we can look into what changes and what does not change. The host uses everything in her life to serve the Dharma, which means the host uses everything in her life, to serve all of life. The host within the host is always at home, wherever she finds herself. Awakening to our completeness and unique gifts and insights must be useful and function on behalf of all those we meet. How we function is the whole of life. How you express your Dharma is unique to you. No one else can do what you do. So, sit calmly in your own seat of awakening, this ocean of awake awareness, and realize that you are indeed a child of the awakened ones. A child of the awakened ones. Who would have thought? Thank you for listening. I hope there was something in this talk that inspires you and helps you open to your deepest self.